Amazing Island is one of those games I rented back in the day when I wasn't constantly renewing Sonic Adventure DX. I don't know what it was that drew me to the game, other than that maybe it also had a big blue SEGA logo on the box. It certainly wasn't the colorful character designs, because they were taken off the Japanese box art and replaced with a boy nowhere in the actual game. Not even the name Amazing Island is very descriptive about what kind of game it is. Regardless, this game dug its nostalgia claws in me, and I've wanted to replay it ever since. 1,000 years ago, a book was written telling the tales of a far-off island, home to amazing creatures. But as time passed, the book became forgotten, mentioned only as a fairy tale. After choosing your alter ego and giving them a name, you then rediscover the secrets of Amazing Island, and are called to help rescue the island's inhabitants from the less than inspired name Black Evil and their evilings. As an 11-year-old kid, you clearly don't stand a chance against these powerful foes, so naturally, things are settled with a little fire volleyball. Once the eviling is defeated, you get a proper introduction to the Isle of Monsters, agreeing to, do what we can to solve their evil problem. In order to save Amazing Island, you need to find 8 vision orbs, accompanied by your imagination made manifest as a monster to help fight back against Black Evil. Amazing Island is off to a great start, giving us this remote island with colorful creatures to explore. You're then introduced to your first major activity, creating a monster companion. The first time around you get a helping hand. Folu here will ask you a couple personal questions, maybe read your horoscope when you're not looking, then creates a monster based on your answers. The next step is adding accessories, and finally giving your monster a name. Once you've got your new monster companion, it's time to gather the 8 vision orbs. This is where the game shows its true colors, as a minigame collection. Yay! Black Evil has set challenges for you all over the island that you must complete in a set order to collect the vision orbs. Amazing Island claims to have 30 different minigames, but you'll quickly notice similarities. You've got your sprinting minigame, your sprinting minigame, your sprinting minigame, your sprinting minigame, and your sprinting minigame. You've got your water skipping minigames, which, I don't blame you if you can't tell from the footage, are actually 3 different minigames. Then spin, catapult, and sky minigames. Many of these are identical while changing the goal, difficulty, or mechanics in some small way. It's hard to tell some of these apart when they're put side by side. It's a little too generous numbering them each as new individual minigames. On top of that, the intermediate and advanced courses have multiple paths that have you repeating minigames. There's just enough variation, but you can tell the game's doing its absolute best to stretch the playtime with the content it does have. The minigames that are here are fun and simple, with only a few bad ones in the mix. The worst are the Battle Series and Bomber Bowl. The battle minigames are 4-player free-for-alls to either destroy targets, stay alive, or play keep away that are just too chaotic for the result to be anything other than luck. Bomber Bowl has the worst camera, making it impossible to see the bombs you're supposed to collect, or the boss you're supposed to destroy. And you better learn to be good at eviling volley, because you'll be playing it a total of 8 times during each vision orb. It's disappointing that the most important moments in the game are just progressively harder games of volleyball, but it's one of the more fun challenges, so I can let it slide. Each minigame is represented by a physical location on the island that you walk to and from on the map. It's fun actually getting to explore and see parts of the island, even if it's just a small set piece for the minigame. By completing minigames, you get to see how your actions positively impact Mabu Village. What starts as this foggy, empty village becomes more and more lively with the completion of each new course. New areas begin to open, rescued villagers populate the village, and new shops open. Completing minigames also rewards you with new monster parts and money to spend in the newly opened shops run by Jasmine here, and her sisters Cinnamon and Ginger. They've been in hiding up until you began collecting the vision orbs. The Elder hasn't seen a human on the island in over a century, so if these sisters are as human as they look, then they're really good at hiding and look good for being over 100 years old. That or the Elder never leaves his house. The more you play, the more you unlock in the Monster Creator, so you're always encouraged to revisit the Hall of Life and create. The first time you visit, most of the work is done for you, but as you collect more vision orbs, more drawing tools are given to you, allowing the process to feel fresh each time, while keeping it from ever feeling overwhelming. You start by choosing a frame and then drawing each individual body part. There's a small learning curve figuring out the shape your drawing will take based on which angle you draw from and the thickness of the shape. But they succeeded at creating a really simple and accessible process that anyone can use to create their own monster. You can even let the game make a creature for you, if you want it to look like this. Once you finish drawing your creature, then you're able to personalize, accessorize, and name them. You can choose from multiple patterns to color your monster, give it a voice, then attach and move objects to add the finishing touches. By the end of the game, you have so much freedom to create whatever you want while keeping the interface easy to use. Even if you aren't the creative type, there's enough options with its frames, patterns, and accessories that let you create your own distinct creature while sticking to the game's resources. Each time you create a monster, you're given a chance star, allowing more retry attempts at completing courses. Courses unlock new monster parts for creation, and creation allows you more chances to progress through the courses. Once you've completed the beginner, intermediate, and advanced courses and collected all 8 vision orbs, you face off against Black Evil in a challenging game of Eviling Volley. Just kidding. There's actually a challenging, fun, and unique face-off against Black Evil, where you try to catch his incoming fireballs and throw them right back at it. It evolves into a phase 2 where you mash pushing its beam attack back. This moment shows off the potential of Amazing Island really well. Despite it being a minigame, it illustrates and involves the player in a cinematic point in the story. If Amazing Island had a stronger story, it could have had more unique minigames based in the context of exploring the island and battling unique foes. Beat Black Evil and you've saved the day, shown everyone the power of good, and helped everyone realize their hopes and dreams and all that other sappy stuff. Once you've played and replayed the 30 minigames, that's it. You're done. You've beaten the game in only a couple of hours. The credits rolled with only 20% of the monster parts unlocked, with no way to unlock more besides just replaying more minigames. Amazing Island would not have had the same lasting impression it had on me when I first played it, without its charming island and characters. My experience is a real example of how impactful a game's presentation can be. Despite the lack of activities with any real depth to them, I still wanted to track this game down and replay it. It has a good foundation with a nice gameplay loop, but imagine a larger village with more explorable areas on the island. Traveling to complete minigame courses could reward you with new locations to walk around, based around those same locations. These new areas could come complete with their own larger activities to do with your monster companions. Having multiple different monster companions doesn't impact the game outside of arbitrary stat differences. It's nice that your active monster gets to follow you around in the village, but these locations should also be a place that all of your creations can populate and inhabit. Unlocking new parts feels slow, especially when the game is only a few hours long. If parts unlocked faster, were cheaper in the shops, and were included as rewards along with potential new activities, then you'd get to see a lot more of the game's creation mode has to offer before the credits roll. After you've saved Amazing Island, you're then left with a multiplayer mode. This lets you play each minigame individually, or through each course that was featured in the story mode with up to 4 friends to compete for the highest score. While everything is more fun with friends, the multiplayer makes me wonder what Amazing Island's focus was from the start. The monster creator is only done in story mode, which is a single player experience, and the story needs to already be completed at the very least in order to have enough creative options available. So you spend all of this time completing a story mode that only consists of minigames best experienced in a multiplayer setting, leaving a lot more to be desired as a single player experience. If each player wants to play as a monster they created, it can't even be done in the multiplayer menus. Multiplayer doesn't reward you with money or monster parts for monster creation, separating it from one of Amazing Island's main gameplay features. It becomes this weird tug of war where both game modes share content that doesn't end up complementing the other. I could see this changed in a couple of ways. They could expand the story mode, adding more content to further separate it as a full single player experience. Or you could add multiplayer options into the story mode. Then players could all create monsters and work together in minigames toward a combined high score. That would further identify Amazing Island as a party game, while adding a distinct versus and co-op mode. By trying to stretch the gameplay even further, I found Amazing Island's surprising Game Boy Advance functionality. If you speak with the village elder and connect your Game Boy Advance with a Gamecube GBA link cable, you can download and play Monster Cards, a turn-based strategy game using your created monsters as cards for combat. It's visually very simple, since most of the screen needs to be taken up by a readable image of your monster on a small screen. Despite that, it's really exciting seeing a photo you took of your monsters represented portably on the Game Boy Advance. Single player has you battling multiple enemies in a row using your party of monsters' different skills and attributes. Link Battle lets you battle monsters with up to 4 other players. These modes reward you with treasure chests you can send back to the console for rewards. I love this push to take this game on the go and even connect it with others despite the technology not really being there yet. It's not really practical to transport software on your Game Boy Advance that's only available while the system remains powered on. Just to meet up with other Amazing Island enthusiasts with their own Game Boy Advance and link cable to compete in multiplayer battles that you need to take back home in order to claim the rewards. But imagine if the technology was there. A separate app allowing you to easily connect, battle, and even share your creations with others near and far would have been a really cool complement. Then you could connect back to the console game to have other players' creations populate and share the same world with your own. While Amazing Island doesn't feel like a full game, the basics are here. It's got a colorful world and characters that leave an impression. It has a simple and robust monster creator that even predates games like Drawn to Life, Spore, and Scribblenauts. The problem is that most of those creative options aren't available to you until way after the credits have rolled. There's no lasting gameplay to interact with your creations beyond a handful of minigames. They tried to add longevity with multiplayer and Game Boy Advance connectivity, but those additions either clashed with the story mode or were overambitious based on the audience and the technology at the time. If the story mode had more locations with more activities involving your monsters, I could see this as a fun game to keep coming back to play and interact with your monster companions. But as it currently stands, it's a short, shallow, but fun game to spend a few hours on. Thanks for watching to the end. Consider subscribing to the channel for more videos like this, and subscribe to the second channel for live stream uploads. I live stream on Twitch, and I also have a Discord. If you really like my content, please consider sending a tip on Ko-fi. All tips go back into my content by purchasing games for future videos or live streams. Links to all of these platforms can be found in the description below.